We are at the two dots. Mal Escaroa, actually the Kalfi, the fourth line down. The Kalfi Yerushalmi, there was a ballot box there, or a lot box. There were two lots of there, Escaroa, and they're made out of this wood called Escaroa. Mal Escaroa, what is Escaroa? Paskinon. It's Paskinon, which is a type of cedar. Reb Shmuel Achoy, the Rab boy, he asked, now, what if they got lost? But there's not thought about the wooden ones. Obviously, the wooden ones were replaced. So about the gold ones, which were made by Bagat Ben Gamu. So what if they got lost? The wooden ones. So then, the gold ones. Do they have to make gold ones again, or can they go back to the wooden ones? Must they make a new gold ones, or can they go back to the wood? We have to say concerning like this, like we say elsewhere. You always go up, not down. So once they're made of gold, you can't go back to wood. It doesn't work, right? That's once you didn't. Kodesh Baruch Hu didn't make you make it of gold, but once you did, it's your tough luck, right? That's basically the idea. V'yasu datin zeh gab zeh. Now, this is a very interesting issue. This gets back to the shiur. The shiur, Ben Kati made 12 dadim, and the assumption is that the 12 spigots were on the same level, right? And there were 12 going around the entire thing. So why did they not make more? Why dafka 12? Make more, make them on 2 levels. So it says, they didn't have to make more than that. 12 is a maximum number of quantity which did the Talmud on any one day. So therefore, the 12 are the exact amount. Now, it says Gemara, the next five words are very, very cryptic. Well, a little more than 5. The next 10 words or so are very cryptic. Everybody has a field day trying to explain what it means. So I'll give you the understanding of the near. The near says that there's an unspoken question here. The unspoken question which the Gemara is about to ask is that why did they make the 12 spigots all on one level? Make them one above the other. And there was an advantage to that because it's hard to get all 12 quantities to do it all at once, right? The assumption was that all 12 quantities would go together and use all the spigots at the same time. It's very hard. So make 12 spigots one on top of the other. And how would that work? So as each Kohen in turn would use a lower spigot, because obviously the water level in the urn would go down each time. So each Kohen should use a lower spigot. Now, in fact, in the way the Beis HaMikdash Sheni book has it, I think it actually has them going on descending. It's in a spiral, which actually is the Havamina of this Gemara, but according to the Nir, not its Maskona. It's only a Havamina. But the Havamina said it should go to like that, up and, so the world goes down. So this is more, interestingly enough, a shiur has to have a din of a keli. And a spigot detracts from its din of keli. Because even though the spigot is closed, since when it's open, the water can go out, so it doesn't have a din of a keli. So each of the topper spigots is not attached to a keli, because it has a spigot below it which will let the water out were that spigot open. You understand the Gemara's? That's what the Gemara answers. The question is unspoken. The answer is Mishum Kli Pachus Berubo, because the keli which is open in its majority, in other words, it has holes in it underneath it where the water can go out. So Vatachto, the bottom one. So whatever the bottom spigot, that certainly has no spigots underneath it. That's got another problem. Einbo Mishum Aviro Shel Keli. It doesn't have any airspace of a keli because it's mamish at the bottom of the keli, right? So it doesn't contain anything underneath that spigot. So if it doesn't contain anything underneath the spigot, it's not on a keli either. So if you made them in succession, one on top of the other, the shiur would never have a din of a keli. Okay? So therefore we made them all one level, and obviously, although the Gemara again doesn't speak this out, when we made them all one level, we left some space underneath the lowest spigot, so it would be a container beneath, well, they're all on the same level, beneath all the 12 spigots, so it would be still have a din of keli even below the spigot, in order that kior should be a keli. There's a very important thing which the Bavli doesn't stress. I don't even know if the Yerushalmi stresses it, but it's obvious from the Yerushalmi that the kior had a din of keli, as opposed to the yam in the first base of Mikdash. Remember, Shlomo Melech made this huge contraption instead of a kior, which was called the yam, which was like a pool on the back of 12 golden oxen. I think they were gold. That had a din of a maya. That was connected to the ground, to a spring. There was a pipe leading into it from Ein Itam, and that had the din of a spring, whereas the kior did not have the din. And the second base of Mikdash did not. It was a keli in and of itself. The Korban Eder here missed the boat on this one. He says the kior also was connected, but it's not true, because as the Near proves very succinctly, and I think it's bullshit, if it actually was like a mayon, connected to a mayon, then at night they would not have to lower it into the ground, because the mayon is not nifsal belina, even if you leave it above ground. So we see from that to lower it every night that it certainly was not connected to a mayon. Okay, so therefore that's all the kior. Now the Gemara is going to discuss the yam, but we're going back from the second base on Mikdash to the first base on Mikdash. Okay? To the yam, there was a continuous flow of water from Ein Itam. And the legs of the oxen on the south were open, like the size of pomegranates, to allow the water in. Hashem Bar Kassim B'Shem Rabbi Yachos said, I should say, it's like the shiur of Hashaka. Hashaka means, to connect the mikveh to two mikvahs next to each other, so you need to have the shiur of two etzbos, which can go back and forth around. So Rimonim also is around the same size, perhaps a little bit larger, the shiur Motzi Rimonim. And that shiur connected the yam to the Ein Itam through the pipe which came through there.
This discussion of the yam wasn't from the bottom.
No, the yam is only the first base of Mikdash. We weren't discussing the first base of Mikdash. So, and the Yerushalmi says, Rabbi Shimon Bar Karsino says, Rabbi Yacha, Hayam, the yam first base of Mikdash, basically Lakwani, well, they could actually go to the mikveh in it, right? It says Vayom, in fact, it's a purpose, it says Vayom l'rochta Lakwani. They would go wash there. Bo, in it, they would wash. Ask Gemara of a low kli, who is and not a kli. So again, the Gemara says, no, I'm asamayim shel slomitam. So one of the lines here is obviously redundant, because we just said that a minute ago, and Rabbi Shimon, he'll repeat it again. But it's not so essential to figure out which one. So the bottom line is that it had water coming into the mitam, and its legs on the south were psul pchusim krimonim, were open like pomegranates. They were hollow in order to connect to the mitam.
Do you have any idea where that the connection is now?
I don't even know where. I don't think we know where Ein Itam is today. Because Ein Itam was higher than the base of Mikdash. I don't know if we know where this place was. Okay. Says more. Ksiv, it says Ve'elim Yisporam. This is the number of vessels which were in when they rededicated the second base of Mikdash. Agartale Zohav, Agartale Zohav, pitchers in modern Hebrew. An agartal is a. It's an agartal in modern Hebrew. It's a vase, a vase, vase. Anyway, something which holds flowers is called an agartal. It's agar, a collection of tal, dew. Okay, so agartal, they are agartali zav shloshim. There are 30 containers of gold. Shon Achman Amar Malkum Shogin both the way he learns the word agartal, it's Malkum Shogin both damo shel kleh. It's a place where they collect the blood of a sheep. And since the blood of the sheep doesn't have much blood, so they would make it of gold. It was a small pitcher. Agartali kesef, they had agartolim of silver, 1,000. Why is that? Because the Rabbi Shimon Lagashamer Makom Shogin Bo Domo Shopar. It's a place to collect the blood from a cow. And since it's a lot of blood, big pitcher, so therefore, make it silver, not gold. Machlefim, Shchita knives, Tisha Vasim 29. Rabbi Simon, so machlef elu sakinim. Those are the knives. We learned there. Nikra Beis Chalifos, where they kept the knives, is called Beis Chalifos. Yerushalmi Yuma, that's where they kept the knives. Heleni Imo, Heleni's mother, Osta, the mother, Monbaz, Ostni Resha Shulzav, she made a golden chandelier. A peaceful Sheikhel, he opened it to the Heichel. Trena Amorin, two Amorin argued, Chadamar Minarta, went that it was a menorah, which is obviously like our menorahs, Chadamar Kunbisa, type of lamp. Tirge Makilas, the Kavel Nivrashta, and in fact, Akilas, who's I'm not sure whether he was Unklus or some other gear, it's not clear. I think he was Unklus. Translates the Kavel Nivrashta. There's a pasuk like that in Tadia which says opposite Nivrashta, the Kavel on Paris, opposite the lamp. So we see that in Nivreshus is a lamp. Now, Akiyos tablet Shulzav, she also made a tablet of gold, Sheparsha Saita Ksuva Leh, upon which the Parsha of Saita was written. Shebeshasa Shoisa Chamas Arachas, when the sun would rise, Hayani Saitats would not see men of sparks, in other words, rays, would come off the gold, but Yoidim Shazar Cham, people know that the sun rose. Now, in the Bavli, that line is going on the Vreshus, on the chandelier, that the sun would spark off of that, which makes sense. But on the and could be the Yerushalmi is supposed to be read like this, and this line is out of order in terms of two dots. But I think it also makes sense to say about the tablet of gold for the Sota. And then on the contrary, the lamps were taka chandeliers, which means they were for illuminating at night. And it happened to be that this tablet on which Parsha Sota was written was obviously a very bright gold, served a dual purpose. A was able to teach us the Quran, instruct them how to write the Parsha of Sota when necessary, and B, it also, created a brilliant gold reflection in the morning sun. That's what I would say.
Yerushalmi also said the early morning sun would get to the gates, certain gates.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Shushan maybe? Because that's the one which faced that way.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't remember I remember something vaguely like that, but not no particulars. Was that your Yuma?
I don't remember from you.
Okay, says Gemara. What did it say on this tablet? So, Rabbi Shimon Lokashim Rabbi Yana said, Aleph Beis HaYikosav. It was written in Rashi tables, not the entire parsha verbatim spelled out. Didn't we learn a bright King Sav Shakan? The same way it was written on the tablet, the same way they write it on the Megillah when it was written for Sota. So we see it should have been complete. So it says the Gemara, no. What it means is, well, actually, this is all part of the Brayso. King Sav Shakan Lo made it not too thick and not too thin, elevatorly, but average. So Pasalo, he explained, means Ka'ala Shibakan, Kin Am Shibakan. It means the shape of the letters were the same, but not that the letters are precisely the same, because on the gold tablet is the Russian tables, whereas when he wrote out longhand. So the Aleph over here was like the Aleph there, Shibakan. The shape was the same, but not the precise text, because one was an abbreviation.
You see why she chose that after that Parsha of Sota rather than anything else?
Maybe because of Shalom Bayis issues. So we know Sota was a tool, believe it or not, to restore Shalom Bayis when a husband was suspicious of his wife. Wouldn't work nowadays too well, but that's it. What? Yeah, so. No, but he was asking why she picked after that. Yeah. Well, that they wouldn't post in the base on Mikdash Shema. But, also we know that they used to say that Seres Adibros every day, but the Minim said that that's the only part of Torah which is significant. So they didn't want to highlight something like that, right? Okay, says the Gemara. Tana Rabbi Yeshua argues. He says, "Kol Parsha Soita, Kosovo, the entire Parsha Soita was written on the tablet outright. Shemena Yakore Umatarin." From there, the Kohen was the Sofer, the read and translate Kol Dukei Parsha, all the matters of the Parsha for the Sota. Nikorah Nasu Disi with Lois Soisov. Nikorah miracles befell us. Torah Maskir so Shvach is mentioned for praise. Tiny we learned Ma'aser Shiur Boyim Basfin. They were coming around a ship. Amar Aleim Sargo those Bayam. A great a wind or a great turmoil in the sea. They took one of the doors. They threw it into the sea. They wanted to throw a second one. Started up the Gifo and he wrapped himself around it. He hugged it. He said, if you throw it into the sea, throw me as well. But he was crying and mourning until they reached the port of Yaffo. Came and until they reached the port. The other door started floating from underneath the ship. And therefore we have the famous Bryce over there, Mishnah over there. All the gates there with the base Mikdash, will eventually change into gold. With the exception of gates of Nikanor, nation Nasa, Bohen Nes, because the miracle which befell them. Some same nation, because they had a particularly brilliant copper. Tani B'Shem Rebbeinu and the Choshtonei Amativ, their copper was more brilliant, more beautiful, Mishal from actual gold. Veil Ignite. This is the third time in the last couple of months we're going to have the next Agadata. Veil Ignite. These are the ones that are mentioned for detriment. Beis Garm, the house of Garm. They want to teach Lechem Aponim. Beis Avtin, Surat Lamid Amaisa Ktoris, they now want to teach the Ktoris. Ugas Ben Levi, their Perkushis to know how to sing particularly well, and Lorat Lamid would not teach Ben Kamts or Lorot Lamid. He also didn't want to teach Amaisa Ksav how to write all for Lez Shevai once. I'm showing him on the ones who did special things praiseworthy in the first Mishnah. Zech Nemar Zech Tzadki Bracha. Valelu on these it says Nemar Shem Shem Yirkav. Their name should be Shabbat. Okay, I'm going to run through this because we just have this in Shkolim and also in the Vilna Yuma. Beis Karmel Bekim Ma'aser Lechaponim, but they were adept the Ma'aser Lechaponim over the Osan to take it out. Lo Ratzulam didn't want to teach a Shokol Beviem when in Alexandria, so they went to send craftsmen from Alexandria. But he became Ma'aser Lechaponim. The order to Lechem Aponim over the Osan, lo he became, but they didn't not know how to take it out of the oven. Beis Karmel Masikim, even they used to make it on the inside. And take off the bread from the outside. Lois Sama Peshus, and the bread would not get moldy. And these would make the fire on the inside. But if you even take it out from the inside, Lois Sama Peshus, and would go bad. When Chachomim knew about this, they said, Everything Kodesh Baruch Hu made him made for us. All God's activities are for his sake. So therefore we need to do it properly. So they said the message, come back below Russell, they did not want to come until they doubled their salary. They must how you know they used to take 12 they gave now 24. Maybe you don't they used to give them 24, but they gave them 48. So they said, why don't you want to teach us? So they said back, we have a tradition that this house is going to be destroyed. Others should not learn. But you always again they have a desire do this in front of their avodah zarah. At least in this respect we praise them. And their children never ate clean bread. And their people should not say they're being decorated from the lechem aponim. So he became my scholars, they knew how to do Ktoris, and get the smoke to rise properly. They didn't want to teach a Chokol Bevilum Alexandria, but he became my sectores. They did not know how to make the smoke rise. Smoke read by Beis Avtinas, so some Mitzvah merits. Voilo go up straight like a palm tree. And and then it would diffuse when it hit the ceiling. It come down. The shale and the one from Alexandria, well, he some place in Miyar would diffuse immediately. Came on Sheyadu Chacham, but then when Chacham knew, they said, "Come Ashbakosh, Balichvay the Bach," and then God created for His own glory. Shneimar, Kani Krabishmi, everything made is for my name. The Rosh Ochachem, so they sent them to come back, Lord, so they did not want to come. The Chule, shorthand, etc. I leave the Avodah Zarah. Right, the same time. Avodah Zarah topic. Avodah Zarah shlein. B'dvarim alom azkir so shvar. However, this is praiseworthy. Shlo yotzli isha shalecha me'mivusem es miyolam. None of the women went out with perfume. Flo, now he got elok shecha me'em. They say isha mokamach was married somebody who went for another place. Hayapasei moed make conditions lo tispas if she shouldn't wear perfume. Rabbi Yosef I found a young child. I said, which family you're from? They said to me, Mishpachas Pliny from Beis Avtinas. I said to B'ni, my son. I was telling you, forefathers took feast, because one of them more on themselves. My covet Shemaim diminish the honor of heaven. And so their covet was diminished, covet Shemaim Nisraba by the destruction based on Mikdash and the punishment of the Jews. Rabbi Akiva said, Sachli Shimon ben Lagos, Shimon Lagos told me, I was collecting herbs. And even Tinokel based off this, I one child based off this. So he says, so Shabbat, I saw him crying, but he says, so Shabbat, and if I saw him laughing, I said to B'ni Lon, but he said, why did you cry? Yaakov based Abo, should he smite? Because the honor of my half-father's house is diminished. Why'd you laugh? He said, I'll cover on Masulah Tzadikim Lasi Lavo, and the honor which Tzadikim will eventually have. I read Ma'aleh Osha Net, because I see the Ma'aleh Osha, which makes the smoke up straight. So I said to B'ni, my son, Tareli, show it to me. So I said to me, I have a tradition show Laro, so not to show it. Lebari, to other people, to strangers. Once I met an old man, Mishal Beis Avtiyas, Rebbe. He said to Rebbe, L'shavar, are you Beis Abbas to him? My father's household was private. We must have Sagil they give us Sagil one to each other. Now that we are no longer trustworthy, Halech, some Megillah, take the Megillah with the list of herbs. Be careful. When I came into those words, Rabbi Akiva Zogul Demov, his tears flowed. I said, Miato ain't Tzrichim, last Kiron, we no longer mention them derogatorily. The Chula Matzu Masu Divrem, everybody found an excuse why they didn't teach. Chutzi Ben Kamtsar, except for Ben Kamtsar, there's no reason why he shouldn't teach how to write all 4 letters at once. Big deal for nobody ever to do that. According to this perspective, so then that makes sense, that which it says in Bishkolim, not here, that these are the people who are appointed to the Beis HaMikdash, and includes their Beis Karim, Beis Avtinas, even though they seem to have been bad people because they did tshuva, or rather, if they didn't tshuva, at least they had a right reason for doing what they did. And Chizkiah, Rabbi Simon, Chizkiah said name, and Rabbi Simon, Rabbi said, Chanam HaKsheri Kol Dar V'Dar Bolim Nos. They're in Shkolim and enumerates all the Ksherim. And therefore, Karma and Avtinas must have also been Ksherim. The Chanamar said, no, not necessarily. Whatever generation, they took a cross section of all the responsibilities of Beis HaMikdash, so they enumerated the cross section, even those guys who were not so kosher v'yosher. He who said that they took the ksherim from various different generations, there was not a cross section during one generation. So Al-Kulam Mohammed says they're all tzaddikim. Also, Darmani took a cross section during his generation. So Al-Kulam Mu'amer, the Shem Rishayim Yerkov. It could be that Beis Avtinos and Beis Gam will still retain the name of Shem Yerushalmi Yuma. And who said Zechel Tzayivrocha? Only on the previous people who made in the previous Mishnah, which has been Kotin, who made the extra Dadin, Eleni Amalk, and the other ones mentioned there, the Chaver of all those there. And all these people said Ben Zom used to say it since they got back their positions and their honor and their money. Right? From yours they give you, by your name they call you, with your praise they put you in your place. There's no forgetfulness before God, and nobody can touch that which is prepared for you. In other words, if they were supposed to get the honor and the money, they got the honor and the money, even if they were Rishonim. Okay? Vait. Torah Pekam. So the Kohen Gadol used to stick his hand into the lot box. One of them, which had said La Hashem, one of it said La Zozel. The assistant was on his right. Rosh Beisov, and the head of the Beisov was Mismolo on his left. The one of Shem came up on his right. The deputy says to him, Ishi Kohen Gadol, my master Kohen Gadol, Agbeis Mincha, pick up your right hand. The Mismolo Ola, it became his left hand. Rosh Beisov, Omer, Rosh Beisov was on that side. Omer says to him, Ishi Kohen Gadol, my master Kohen Gadol, Hagbei, Esmocha, pick up your left hand. Nasal Sheizirim, so put them on the two goats. Omer says, Hashem Chatos. Rabbi Shmuel Omer, Lo Yetzorch Lamar Chatos, El Hashem. You didn't have to say the words Chatos, just Hashem. Vein Onim Marachorav, and they would respond, Says more low soft over a cup. You don't have to have a lot box. Not necessary. I feel closest, even a basket is good enough. What they use in the lottery, they use ping pong balls, right? So it's also good. You're right. Okay? Yeah. So Lamar coffee, why do they say lot box? Because that's those so make it public. The Yavish Nechutim. Says Amar, so just make a lottery without lots. Use two colored threads. Right? Yavish Nechutim, Echad Shachar, Echad Lavan. Why bother making lots? So use the threads, and afterwards, when you draw them, the Yikshar tie it on them. The Omer Zel Hashem Zel Zozo, much cheaper. Right? Tam Lomer Gorel Echad La Hashem. One lottery for God. Nikoshu La Hashem. Should be recognizable. Should be recognizable as well. And the string is very small. Who's going to see it? So they are fine. You have a snake throats. You want to be like that? Bring two rocks, two stones. One black and one white. Beat in a lame and they make the lottery and put it on them. The Yomer says, why do you have to have gold? Or even escaror? No, because it says Gorel Chod La Hashem. She'eniko Shul Hashem has to be recognized with Hashem. Gorel Chod La Hazel. She'eniko La Hazazel. Now that means there has to be written on them, which is La Hashem, which is Hazazel, two colored rocks. It doesn't indicate inherently. It's kind of indicated inherently. It says more fine. So do it like this. Yichtov Aleim. Just paint on them. Right? Paint one black and one white. The Yomer says Zel Hashem, it says Lazazel. But even one says Hashem, one says Azazel. Says more, no, Tam Lomer Gorel Echad La Hashem. What does Gorel Echad La Hashem mean? Sheyem Ochiach Atzmo Shel Hashem. It should indicate itself that it's La Hashem, meaning it should be engraved on it. Okay, that's what we're about to say. Gorel Echad La Hazazel, Sheyem Ochiach Atzmo should indicate itself Shel Azazel. Or actually, I skipped the word Le'olam before. It should always indicate. In other words, it should be permanently engraved on it. And also, when Le'olam, it should be permanently engraved. But the Amra teaches us that to engrave or carve the name, or chisel, is the best word, that to chisel the names Hashem and Lazazel on the lots. Now, I want to say, I think the Yerushalmi doesn't say this explicitly, but I want to say that besides the Yerushalmi's Pashut shot here, it has to be Le'olam. It also is an allusion to the tzitz. The tzitz, it says Kodesh LaHashem too. So it says Chatos LaHashem on the or Echad LaHashem on the lot. So just like by the tzitz, it had to be engraved on the tzitz, here too it had to be engraved as well. No, you don't have to hang it. It doesn't say you have to hang it. Put it on its back, maybe. But it doesn't have to stay there.
Just put it on
turn. I think there's a picture like that, but I don't think you have to be done that way. It doesn't, at least not to the best of my recollection. Okay. Says Vitani Kane. The word cane is superfluous because they're not talking about the same idea. We're learning that there was also a lottery, but not the same type of lottery when they divided up Eretz Yisrael. The state copy of Eretz Yisrael was divided by 2 lots, whereas there's two simultaneous lotteries going on. Echad, one lottery, Shagros Nesuni B'Socha, which there were the Gorolos of the various different portions of Eretz Yisrael. V'achos, in the other lot box, Sheshmos Shvatim B'Socha, which names the Shvatim were. Ushnei Pirchei Kuna, the 2 young lads of the Kuna only would stand. Mashazem Alev, when one of them would take out the name of the Shevet and the other person would take out the name of the section, that would work. Eretz Yisrael is divided by three manners. Gorolos by the lottery, by divine question and answer through the Urim V'Tumim, Ubiksafim, and with money. In other words, whoever got a better portion had to pay the people who got a less good portion. Yeah, it was a equitable position.
Yerushalmi talks about this because this is
yeah. I don't know, there's only not in Yuma, maybe in Kedushin, where it brings down parallel Suya. But it's interesting, the Korban says one of the Cheshbonis was the closer to Yerushalayim, the better the land was. Let's travel on Yom Tov. Okay, so, right. Okay. So, yeah, no, it really is. I'm sure they had no concept of the prices that Yerushalayim can command today. What do those houses go for in David's Village? Millions and millions of dollars. It's an amazing concept. Jews from Chicago, I think, own some from Jews Chicago. What, Jamie? Yeah. Okay, that's the place to live. Okay, one could be over Los Achmod on that. All right. Now, so what Hadod you'll see, it's that which it says, Vayishlach lem Yoshua Gora Lifnei Hashem. Yoshua cast lots before God for mitzvah. Gora Lelu Goros, lots. Lifnei Hashem before God, Elu from Turin. Ben Rav Lamat, whether it was greater or small, lesser, Elu Ksavin, that's the money. Rabbi Yavi, interesting Gemara. Rabbi Yavi said, "Molish and also Kosh Baruch Hu Chen Kol Mokom Ben Yeshua Kosh Baruch Hu not to place the grace of each land in the eyes of its inhabitants. Lo Yisrael Eretz Yisrael Mischal L'Som Eretz Yisrael never divided. What not would have taken the land in Lebanon or the land of where the Plishtim were, right? If they thought about it rationally. So Kosh Baruch Hu put an irrational love of the place where a person dwells in a person's heart. It's a principle throughout the Gush Katif, Shmush Katif, if people live in Chicago irrationally.
I'm talking about
There's some rationality to it. But this applies even to us nuts. Okay? Chein Mokom Al Yoshvav. Chein Mekach Sim Tani Chein. We also in the Brisa. Shlosha Chedimin. There's certain 3 types of grace, and grace, of course, are irrational. There's certain type of Chen is different than all other types of attributes of beauty or of value. Chen is not rational. Okay, so there Chen is a grace which has no apparent reason to it. No, I didn't read that yet. I'm about to read it. The tiny came social chinim chen isha ben nebalo. A husband, I don't know if it still works. A husband likes his wife, even if she's not so beautiful. Chen mokom ben yeshvav. A person likes his. Chazal did not know about baseball teams. Where they know about baseball teams, they know that there's some insane people in Chicago. Forget about free agency. Insane people in Chicago who like these ball teams, even though they haven't been able to win World Series in hundreds of years already. All right. So, but Baruch Hashem Chazal, that's how they're Chazal. They didn't know about these things. If a person buys something, he likes it, even if it's a dud.
Beauty is in the eyes of
Yeah, we're here to be eyes of the owner. It's not the eyes of the beholder, it's the eyes of the owner, or the person who was possessed of it. Okay. Rabbi Abba, Rabbi Pavi, Rabbi Yeshua, Sichlim B'Shem Levi, Zushay Levi said, Avlosi, Lova Kush Baruch Sakein, and that you can say about Gush Katif. The Chesiv says, even the world, eventual future, the Chesiv, Asadilchem Lev Chadash will give you a new heart. That we understand. But look at this one, Asadilchem Lev Basar, I'm going to give you a heart. Literally, basar means flesh. Basar means, of course, what do you go? What kind of heart is going to give him? The goymer. What it means is shu boser bechelko shel chavero. Every person rejects. Boser is like rejectionable fruit, the unripe fruit on the tree. Right. So that's what the way it's darshan. Look at the second last line, carbon ada, interchangeable. Shu boser besamach. Okay. So, you repudiate your friend's portion. Period. Okay. Now, as you know, the lottery, the lot box we had in the Bavli, it's on Yerushalmi, I'm assuming it's the same principle. It was very narrow, so the coin couldn't see what he was picking up. But it was engraved, right? He could feel what he was picking up, right? So, Naga Bohang Shein Lamata, what if he touched him on the base? And he realized which was Hashem, which was us, also which side. And when he thought it was then, it's not clear what got mixed up, either it's the lots or the goats. Well, let's say it's the goats which got mixed up, right? So now he's got a problem because he knew which was on the right, which was on the left already, but the goats are mixed up, so he doesn't know which is which. So this is Yerushalmi, it's not a problem. And it's because you didn't, in order to designate the serum, you actually have to pick up the lots. Not just feel them on the base. So it wasn't really a lottery yet. So therefore he can still, even though he knew already which lot was on which side, but it didn't designate the goats, and although they got mixed up, you can still continue with the process. However, if he took the lots already out of the box, and he knew which is which, and then he started with serum, then the goats are mixed up. I think and it was done already properly, right? Maybe it's Misarbo Sirin Kama, it's Kamitzvasa. And that's bad. Because that means that now you don't know which goat is which, and they're already selected by virtue of the fact that he took the lots out of the box. Now, what about his third scenario? This is the most fascinating one. Balioso, as he's picking them out of the box, but they're not out of the box yet, Nogabemi, he touched them and knew which was which, and then he saw then the goats become mixed up. So it's in the middle. They're neither on the bottom of the box, nor are they out of the box. They're in the box. Okay, and he's moving them up. So says the Gemara, obviously this case is purely theoretical. I'm sure it never happened. It never did in history, but we're Talmudists, so we do it theoretical, right? So then he gets to make a t'nai. It's interesting what we do here. Look at what he does. All right, Im Shel Shem Yalabi Mini. He says, if the one of Hashem comes up on my right hand, Yikadish Zeshal, meaning let the goat on my right hand become Kadosh. Yikadish Zeshal, meaning Kadosh. Im Shel Shem Yalabi, so let the Shem comes up my left hand. Yikadish Zeshal, Smoli Kadosh, let the one on my left hand come a Kadosh. Not only that, this is amazing. Bafilim Omar, even if he says Im Shel Shem Yalabi Mini, if the Shem Hashem comes on my right hand, Yikadish Zeshal Smoli, then let the one on the other side become Kaddish, it works. And if the Shem Yalabi Smoli, if the Shem comes on the left hand, Yikadish Zeshal Mini Kaddish, it works as well. In other words, he could change and delineate how the gorel is going to work. Either it could be a positive gorel or a negative gorel, right? That the positive goes wherever the Shem Hashem comes up, that's La Hashem. Wherever La Zozo comes up, that's La Zozo. A negative is wherever La Hashem comes up, that's La Zozo, right? That he can do too. What he cannot do is, however, I'm going to disregard the goal. When the Shem comes up my right hand, but the Shem comes up my left hand, I only want that on my right hand because or smally, that that doesn't work. Now, why do the one? Because there is just trying to circumvent the Quran, that he cannot do. Why does all this work? Why don't we just say let the Gorolos fix it, wherever they were, without his verbal declarations? Says Mar Koivan Bepeh. No, he has the right to determine by peh. Now this is interesting in Yerushalmi. It's very lobdish. What happens is that when they're still in the base of the lot box, the process doesn't start yet. Once they're out of the lot box, the process is over. When they're in the process of taking up, you started the lottery, but you haven't finished it. So you get to make it conditional how the lottery should take effect, right? But you cannot say just ignore it. So it's interesting because now that the goats are mixed up, right? So you don't know which goat was originally right goat, which goat is originally left. You still have the capacity to fix it, but not just to reverse the process. You see what the Yerushalmi is saying? So it's like an ongoing process. It was a one-moment process. The moment it comes out of the box, that's it. It sets it. So then, at that point, it sets, not previously. And then at that point, it's set. Now, previously, it doesn't matter. But here it does matter what happened previously, because it's a continuous process from the time you picked it off the bottom of the lot box until it actually leaves the lot box, at which point the process is over. So in the middle of the process, you still have a takana, but the takana is not to put it back down. That would be too bad, because then the process had begun, and it had gone part way, and had worked part way. And then whatever happened, you have no way of knowing. But as long as you're engaged in the process, you can change it to your advantage by actually making snoim in the middle and saying how it's going to work when it gets out of the box. So it's a very interesting thing that it's a continuous process, but you get this shape in the middle as long as you don't muff it up by being quiet. Being quiet is the worst thing, because then when you take it out, it's already determined and you don't know, because you can't see because the goats already got mixed up among the two of them.
Oh, so you have to verbalize it.
You have to verbalize it, right? You can't just think it. Okay? Amra Torah. The Torah says Goros. Goros shall call Dover. Now, Goros means it can be made of anything. However, Yochel Yitek Shtei Goros Lazer Shtei Goros, so each one requires 2 Goros Lashem and 2 Goros Lazoso. Don't ask me why. So it would have been there's custom. It says Goros, right? So Goros means 2, right? What do I know? So it says Gemara, Yochel Shtei Goros Lazer Shtei Goros Lazer, Tamuloma Gorolos, although it says Gorolos, it says Gorol Echad Lashem, Gorol Echad Lazoso. 1-1. So Yochel Yitek Shem Shozozo Zeh, V'Shel Shem Shozozo Zeh. So again, maybe since it says Gorolos and it says Gorol Echad, so that both Gorolos on one and then both Gorolos on the other, right? And I guess the order the Gorol would still determine which is which, but they both have to have both Gorolos on each one. So it says the Gemara, Tamuloma Gorol. No, it's singular. It says more below Dok on Maisa. Isn't that the same word you used before to tell me there's only one Gorol each? What are you using it again now to tell me they only put one of the 2 Goros on each one? You can't. You already used that word up. There's more. No. Kani. Yochel mishanosim mishunosin al shoshem al shem v'shal zozo v'shal zozo yachzer v'yachlif. So do I say there was really the Hamid was not the Hamid. The second question is, of course, that you put each of the 2 Goros on each one, right? Tamloma Gorol Echad Lashem. Here the stress is on the not on the word goro, but rather on the echad la Hashem, and ein kan el l'shem elo echad. Echad la Azazel, ein kan la Azazel elo echad. So the second answer, the reason I don't put both of the girls on each one, is because of the word echad, not because of the word goro. So the word goro teaches us there's only one goro per. And the word echad means each one of the girls goes on only one animal, and we don't put both goros on both animals, even in succession, one after the other. Okay. Now, how are the girls written? Tzitzaya kasava kodesh lashem. The tzitzah in kodesh Hashem kodesh milamaton v'shem milamalon. See, there's a picture in the Korban Eidah. Kodesh La was on the bottom, and Yud Kei Vav Kei, although it's only Yud Kei here, but Yud Kei Vav Kei on top, right? Kemelech sheyoshev al ketadron shelo, like a king sitting on his throne. The Kavasah, so too, by the Goros, it said Echad La Hashem, Echad. Would Echad be Lamaton on the lower line? The Shem Milamah would be on the higher line as well. As well as similar to the tzitz. I saw the tzitz in the Vatican. There's only one line, Kodesh Lashem, period. B'nasan Aaron. So Aaron should put the goros on. Ibnasan Zar kosher. But even though it says Aaron, don't be fooled. Even if a Zar does it, it's kosher. Well, the Kavas also says more, well, let's follow the logic through. Im helo Zar puzzle. If a Zar did the actual lottery, it's possible. Kavachomer. It says the word, it's a Kavachomer. Ma'im Nesina, I don't understand. Kavachomer's question, actually. Well, I understand why I don't say Kavachomer. Ma'im Nesina shekasabo b'nei Aaron. By Nesina, by putting the gross on the animals, where it says b'nei Aaron, im nasa and Zar, if Zar puts it on kosher, it's valid. Haliyah she'en kasabo b'nei Aaron. In doing the gross, it doesn't say b'nei Aaron at all. So lo koshke is not a Kavachomer that a Zar is good. So what do you mean? You said a Zar is no good by the Aliyah, but he's good by the Anoch. It should be the opposite, if anything, because the Anoch says b'nei Aaron. By the Aliyah, it doesn't say b'nei Aaron. So there's more no. Lo tzur chodah el nisina. I'm not dashing for the use of the words Aaron or b'nei Aaron. I'm looking what's necessary. Lo tzur chodah el nisina. And it should be here she'ena ma'akeves. The scene which is not essential, innocence or kosher, if the Zor put it on, it's kosher. Haliyah shehi ma'akeves, which is ma'akev, the words are transposed. Im helozar, if Zor does it, it's possible, it's no good. Period. Vam Rabbi Yitzchak said, Baruch HaKula said, I'm sorry, B'Shem Rabbi Yanei Rabbi Yanei, Aliyah mitocha kalfi ma'akeves. This is the same thing, right? Since making the girl is necessary, so therefore, and a Nesina Kevis is putting the goral on each one of the animals is not makeh, so Zor cannot do the Nesina. All he can do is the Halor. Zor can do the Nesina, he cannot do the Halor, the goral itself. Rabbi Yochanan writes, I'm Rabbi Yochanan Kevin Afilu Beper. You don't need the goral. You can use your mouth. Right? We saw really you can use your mouth in the cut together with the goral before. But he says you can just do the whole thing verbally. You don't need the goral. Sorry, maybe they wanted to say so much so that I feel echri on vechol machar. Come here, if you and say, oh, this is the one la Hashem. And the next thing you come and say, oh, this is the one la Azazel. No goral is necessary.
But it's a puzzle. It says
Where's Gnesset? Al daiti Rabbi Yanai. I just said, it says Rabbi Yanai here, but the Shari Thursday says it's all a mistake. Shvi al daiti Rabbi Yanai. The whole next line we take out. It can't work any other way. He's right. Al daiti Rabbi Yanai, according to Rabbi Yanai, nicho. I understand state and post the girls. The girl heals is necessary. Al daiti Rabbi Yanai, it should be a das Rabbi Yochanan. Al daiti Rabbi Yochanan. That's Rabbi Yochanan holds girls not makeh. Laser davar nemar goros. Why is it goros? The mitzvah. It's a nice mitzvah. It's like tzitzis. It's good to do. If you didn't do it, it's not makeh. Masnisa pliga al Rabbi Yochanan. The following mission seems to argue Rabbi Yochanan. It says hagorol osol chatos. The girl makes it a chatos, Bein Hashem Oseh chatos, not your verbal declaration. So what do you do with that, Rabbi Yochanan? So he says it's talking about, now here the words, all the so many of the Achroim, the Yerushalmi, including the French Shari Torah Yisrael, they say the words further down the page and the words over here are transposed. Instead of saying b'matzliach b'gorol, here it should say b'roitza lahagril, as it says 4 lines at the bottom, and vice versa. So pasala b'roitza lahagril. It's interesting, as up to the Kohen. It's very similar to what we said over there. It's up to the Kohen, but the Kohen can decide to do Agrol, and then he must do Agrol. Okay, when he's decided to go through the process, so the Agrol is, the Agrol must be done. If he didn't decide to, if he decided not to do the Agrol is not necessary. Once he decided, so then Agrol, he has to go by the Gorol. Hagorol also chatos, Bein Hashem also chatos. Period. Masih simply Rabbi Yanai. This is the Mishnah Charles Rabbi Yanai. It says, lo nisvada kosher. We didn't do Agrol, no, he didn't do Vidu. It's kosher. Chiser mitzvah achas, you just missed the mitzvah. So you don't need it. So the Yerushalmi is missing 3 words here. Shari Torah so brings them down. I think they're actually in the Bavli. It says there, Pasul bin Esina. That which it says, Lo Yigriv Lo Nispada is kosher, doesn't mean you don't have to do the Agrol, that you have to. What you don't have to do is put the lots on top of the animals. And that we said that even a Zor could do that. So Gemara, what do you do with the following? Should really be of a hot time here. Then we learn La Hashem, the Rabba Sari Mishtalech is a fascinating proof. It says the Rabba Sari Mishtalech is possible Mishum Mechutzer's mind. The word La Hashem, don't ask me how we learn out from exactly. I don't know exactly, but from the word La Hashem, we learn out that even the soil which is sent La Azazel can't be less than the minimum age to become a korban, which is 7 days, right? On say today, right? After 7 days old. So we need a special limud. Now, the Shari Torah Israel takes out the next 3 lines. Go to Al Daitid Rabbi Yochanan. See that? Al Daitid Rabbi Yochanan. Duamar fila echla yom fila echla l'machar echla machar nicha. Rabbi Yochanan says, I don't need to do a gorol. I could fix one today, one tomorrow. Makes sense. I need a pasuk to tell me the Sar Lazos and Mechusar's man. Can't be Mechusar's man, because otherwise I would say, let the Sar Lazos be a newborn babe, right? It's not a sacrifice. Hey, and you'll designate ahead of time and say, oh, the one which is proper age, that one will be the La Hashem. The other one will be, which is Mechusar's man. That'll be La Azazel, right? And I don't. That's why I need a pasuk to tell me that even Azazel, even though it's not really a korban, has the parameters of a korban. And it's got to be the same age a korban would be, right? Yeah. But Al Daitid Rabbi Yanai, but according to Rabbi Yanai, lays the dove and them another mistake. It should be why does it say La Hashem? Chash loim Hashem Yahu Hashem. Of course, it has to be the right age. Because it's a goyrol, and a goyrol means either one of them could be the one La Hashem, right? So what do you need? It's partial that they both have to be the right age, because you don't know which one's going to end up being the bona fide korban. So says the Gemara, Pasar law, Rabbi Yara will say it's about b'matzliach begorol, the words from before, which means even if you got it right, you were successful in having the gorol come out, that the one which was the proper age, right, is La Hashem, and the one which is not yet of age is La Hashem. So I might think in that case that it's valid, so therefore you need a pasuk to tell me that even if you got it, so to speak, right, it's still not valid, because even the one that goes La Hashem will have to be the proper age. It can't be younger than 8 days old. Okay, that's all for tonight, folks.